The Lord Mayor. City of Adelaide Council meeting on Tuesday, 28 October 2025. The Lord Mayor is in the chair. This council meeting will be streamed live and recorded for publishing to the internet. Please note that an audio and visual recording is being taken of this meeting. This means that your presence at and any contribution you make to the meeting may be collected, used, disclosed or published publicly by the Council, including transferring outside Australia.
Council acknowledges that we're meeting on the traditional country of the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains and pays respects to elders past and present. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with the land, and we acknowledge that they're of continuing importance to the Kaurna people living today. We also extend that respect to other Aboriginal language groups and other First Nations people who may be with us this evening. The Council acknowledges the vision of Colonel William Light in determining the site for Adelaide and the design of the city with its 6 squares and surrounding belt of continuous parklands, which is recognised on the National Heritage List as one of the greatest examples of Australia's planning heritage. We pray for wisdom, courage, empathy, understanding and guidance in the decisions that we make, while seeking and respecting the opinions of others. May we in this meeting speak honestly, listen attentively, think clearly and decide wisely for the good governances of the City of Adelaide and the well-being of those we serve. I now ask all those present to stand in silence of memory of those who gave their lives in defence of their country at sea, on land and in the air. Thank you, members. Please be seated. We have as a leave of absence today Councillor Giles. Could I ask someone move the minutes? Councillor Noon moved, seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We move on now. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest in the non-confidential part of Council, I point out?
Yes, Lord Mayor. I will have out of an abundance of caution, a general conflict of interest when we discuss the IPW committee item in relation to Guja Street as a consequence of my membership of the board of ACMA. I will declare the interest and remain in the room and vote.
Thank you. Can we record that? Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm just declaring a general conflict with item 12 in relation to recommendation 2, item 7.2, speed limit review. The approving authority of speed limit changes in the city are DIT, which is my primary place of employment.
Thank you very much. Have we recorded that? Thank you very much. Any others? Councillor Noon.
Mine is in the confidential reports. So
we'll note that. Yes, the items later on. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
In that case, we'll move on. Deputations nil. We have receipt of 1 petition. Yes. We have one request for a deputation about an item that's not our agenda related to fish tanks. And we have no management control or impact on fish tanks, so I refused that deputation. We'll move on to the next item, which is item 10, which is the receipt of a petition. And we have a request to receive the petition. That's moved by... Thank you. Councillor Couros, seconded by Councillor Siebentrit. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. number 11. This is our Audit and Risk Committee. Councillor Siebentrecht, you not here for this item, but would you be prepared to move it? Moved as printed, seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Well, I'm sorry? Who didn't? We'll take it again. All those in favour? All those against? Thank you. I think Councillor Davis did vote. Thank you. I apologise. Item 12, which is the Capital Works Committee. I think that was chaired by Councillor Martin. Would you? Oh, Marr, sorry. Councillor Marr, would you like to move as printed, or you take that?
Are we not debating these items?
Well, I'm just going to ask the mover.
I'm happy to move.
No, can't we debate them individually?
Councillor Davis, you're not chairing the meeting. Can you just be quiet, please? Councillor
I have
Marr.
a point of order then.
No. I'm speaking to Councillor Marr. Councillor Marr, would you like to take it in parts?
I'm happy to take it in parts, if that would.
Thank you very much. So you'll move part 1, which is the Capital Works monthly project, seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor. Would you like to debate that?
No.
No debate? Nobody against the motion. Would you like to sum up?
Summed up.
Summed up. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to Guja Street revitalisation. And Councillor Freeman, would you like to move a variation or an amendment?
I'd like to move an alternative motion, please, Lord Mayor. So the alternative motion that we're considering tonight is a collaborative effort.
Can I just ask for a seconder?
Oh, sorry.
I think that, was there a variation that Councillor Cabana had as well? Oh, I'm sorry, it's been included. I think Councillor Cabana would like to second that. Thank you. Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So, as I mentioned, this alternative motion is a collaborative effort between myself and a few councillors in response to feedback we have heard from the community about the Guja Street design that we're looking at. That feedback has been heard more recently from members of the community, but also documented in the consultation report that accompanied the concept design that was consulted on in 2024. The intent of this alternative motion is to specifically address some of those key concerns in the community feedback as part of finalising the design. I note that administration have previously advised that further investigations will form part of the detailed design phase. So this is calling out those two key areas of concern, being the provision of micromobility on Guja Street being safe and convenient for people walking and wheeling, and specifically minimising conflict between those users and pedestrians, but also vehicles. And secondly, exploring the provision of convenient access being maintained to off-street car parking facilities, including on Mill Street specifically, as well as its associated turning movements to and from Guja Street.
Just one question from the Chair. Could I just have clarification? Should it be access to and egress from the off-street car park to make it better? I'm not a traffic engineer. I'm not trying to Would you be happy if we had access to and egress from?
More than happy.
This could be, just for the sake of accuracy. Thank you. Your seconder? Councillor Kabada, would you like to say anything?
So on Mill Street, there's 675 car parks plus other car parks around there, and I think it's important that we consider how people come in and out of Mill Street, especially turning onto Guja Street. What's being proposed at the moment is that cars can only go left going into Guja Street from Mill Street, and obviously people would like to go right as well. Not everyone wants to go in the one direction, so I think it's important that we consider that as well.
Thank you. So unless there's any contrary view, no? Councillor Davis.
Yeah. For Guja Street, in my view, this would be an excellent location in the city for a shared use zone. I think that even removing the gutters, for example, and creating it as a single plane would have significant benefit for that area. That would enable it and facilitate more street parties, more ability to open up the street on a more regular basis. I think that this is an excellent place for a much lower speed limit as well. And at the moment, there is essentially no place really for a bike or a scooter to be able to use that road. When I am on Guja Street, I don't really care much about the cars because they're going so slowly, so I just walk in front of them and they'll usually stop for me or be able to make it across the road very quickly. So I think in this location it would be appropriate to explore a multi-use area where bikes, scooters, vehicles and pedestrians can navigate that. Obviously the concern would then be getting cars to turn into the car park and out of the car park, but making it more like street party friendly, making it more essentially like a single plane where you could have businesses spill out onto the road, where you could shut it down on a more regular basis, is something that I think we should pursue. So I note that we're a 70% design overview pack, but I would like to see personally Guja Street go in a different direction, and that potentially we go and do some consultation. In terms of timing, I'm not overly concerned, to be quite honest with you, if it takes a little bit of extra time. If it, in order to get it right, this will be a street that will sit there for decades to come. So if it's a few months so that we can get this right and rethink this space now that we've seen just how little mobility there is in the street, I think now is the time to go and have a look at it. And in my view, I'm not concerned at all by arbitrary timelines that don't really have much of an impact on us. We should be aware of them, but I don't think that we should, make a tens of $1 million decision based on somebody else's time frame. So I look forward to it, and I hope that we can explore that kind of proposal if possible.
Thank you, Councillor. So we have an alternate view from Deputy Lord Mayor, then Councillor Martin, and then if there's no other view, we'll sum up and move on.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And I find myself pleasantly surprised that I actually agree with Councillor Davis. However, I understand the concerns around the timeline. So I guess a question for administration through you, Chair, is what Councillor Davis is proposing actually feasible within the time frames that we're talking? I suspect not, but it'd be interesting and important to get that feedback from administration.
I'll take a question through the CEO.
Through the presiding member, there's some key words that we could work with, Councillor Davis, that might reflect your intent. You haven't proposed an amendment or a variation.
I just assumed I don't have support for such a proposal. Given for the last 3.5 years I haven't had any support, so I've just assumed that I would just throw it at the wind and maybe it's come back.
Okay, are you moving an amendment?
I am speaking, Lord Mayor, with the assistance of the CEO and administration. So I'm happy to incorporate an amendment.
You're seeking to move an amendment. Just before, in principle, can we just work out what we're suggesting?
Sorry, Lord Mayor, aren't we already talking on this amendment? Would we not need to do that in a second?
I'm sorry, this was the motion. It was an alternative motion. So he is allowed to have an amendment. But we need to know, first of all, if whatever wording is feasible and if there's a seconder. Councillor Davis can't second it because he's already spoken. Councillor, yeah, we need to have a clue as to what you're trying to do. We need just a feather to fly with here. We can't just construct it out of thin air.
May I request a 3 or 4 minutes, what's the term? Adjournment, just to discuss.
No, we're going to informal.
Just
move that we're going to informal.
Can I request that we go into informal just for 3 or 4 minutes, Lord Mayor?
Shall we have an adjournment for 5 minutes then? Seek leave for the meeting for adjourn for 5 minutes. All those in favour, all those against, that's carried. We'll have a 5-minute adjournment starting now. Can we have some help? We're going to accept the first amendment. Members, we're going to accept the first amendment of the motion that was varied by Councillor Freeman, the first amendment by the DLM. Thank you. And it's going to be...
We'll provide wording to the CEO, if he's happy to provide that.
Can you just read it out, please? And it's seconded by Councillor Marr.
Through the presiding member, what the chamber has before it is an alternate motion, so it's the first motion, moved by Councillor Marr, seconded by...
No, it was moved by Councillor Freeman.
Seconded by Councillor Marr.
Kabada.
Okay. What we're now entertaining is an amendment to that motion, which would be a new 4. That requests administration provide a briefing workshop at a special meeting of the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee on 4 November 2025 to explore the feasibility of further design amendments. Is that prescriptive enough, members?
Yep, okay. So I think we've got the gist of it.
Just very briefly, just to say, as I started, I agree and acknowledge what Councillor Davis is suggesting. I do believe we should have done this a lot further in the piece. I also acknowledge what the advice that's been given from administration around the timelines. And I don't want to, while I'm willing to entertain a briefing on the matter, I want to make sure that we're not derailing the project by doing so. And I think the wording we have before us allows us to progress what we are doing while having a quick turnaround for this briefing. And I want to thank my fellow members of administration for the assistance in that.
So your seconder?
Nothing to add.
Councillor Couros?
Sorry, Lord Mayor, I just want confirmation from the, through you, Lord Mayor, from the CEO in regards to what, if there is any impacts in regards to delaying this project at all, what are we looking at here? Just want that confirmation.
Through the presiding member, the briefing workshop would provide advice regarding the feasibility of design amendments as articulated by Councillor Davis, but also would provide information regarding the consequences of in relation to timelines.
Well, can I just, so we can ensure that we can speed this up, could all members who would like to participate in a change of on that street send it to administration before the 4th of November? Because what I think would happen, Lord Mayor, is that if we wait until the 4th of November, the administration don't have all that detail. That's another delay for them to come back on the report and the discussion that we had in that time. In the interest of making sure that we're going through this swiftly, I urge all councillors that are concerned and want to see something different on the street to actually write to administration before the 4th of November. Okay? Looking at you.
Yes, I think that would be helpful. Now, Councillor Noon has not spoken yet, and I think Councillor Martin had his hand up, so I'm just trying to work out whether you were going to speak to the amendment, Councillor.
I just have a question about consultation. Has this gone through the ACMA board and the traders and all of that? So it's gone through the whole process. Excellent, thank you.
I think then, in that case, Councillor Davis was ahead of you.
Thank you. Yeah, look, just simply to reiterate, I think that there is a great opportunity here. Guja Street seems like the perfect opportunity to create a plaza. It is in a already very busy eating, dining location next to the central markets and the courts, I think that this would be an excellent opportunity to create that type of plaza feel. It would mean a significant amendment. Sorry for not having the idea pop into my head earlier, but it just, when I saw the designs, I suppose I was inspired and go, why don't we just make this a really central place? You know, you have like the Lucky Dumpling kind of market, that kind of thing down near the Torrens, which is beautiful, but we could have something like that on a more regular basis. We might even have like, you know, a Chinese festival every month or so. And to me, like closing that down and having, that would be something that would activate the city. And I see a lot of potential there. It would be a significant amendment to the current designs because you'd need to raise up the road. Essentially, that's what I'd be proposing. You'd raise up the road, you'd still put down asphalt, but you'd create a single plane, which would then become a shared use zone where everyone would have to kind of give way to each other. Perhaps chaos, certainly, but I think it would be more appropriate given people like myself, who back in the day you would have called a J. I think we should at least look at it. To my mind, the time frames are not so important. This is a project for the decades ahead, so we might as well consider this before it's too late.
Before we just move around the room, because Councillor Martin's next, I should just tell you I have more information in that the administration said they can't turn this around by the 4th because extra information will be required. So it will be a fortnight later, the 18th.
Really just a question now, Lord Mayor, and that is to say the work that is being undertaken on the project will not in any way be hindered by the impending discussion in November or December or whenever it is?
I only know there's been undertakings to the Central Market Development site about completing the footpath restoration on the Guja and Garot Street side, much in the way that the 88 O'Connell's been done, but can I ask advice? Your specific question?
Through the presiding member, Mr McCready.
Through you, Lord Mayor, thank you. Yes, potentially depending on the impacts of this change, it would certainly impact on any works to advance to meet the timeline in regards to the completion of the new central market or the one market. We're envisaging commencing those works in June 2026 to get it completed well in advance of October when the market will actually change back in hand. Also, we're tied into contractually in regards to the office accommodation coming online in June as well, so we're working around that. So this has the potential to impact in regards to delays, and naturally pending what happens with COP31, naturally we would have to put those works on hold as well, should that happen.
And I would also seek leave from November 2nd to change the date to the 18th. I'm sorry, is that acceptable?
We would need to remove special meeting, I think, because we would not. Oh, you've done that. Yep.
It's changed, thank you. Councillor Martin.
Well, look, in that case, Lord Mayor, I would only say that the discussion so far has been illuminating. I see some of the ideas that have been raised as being potentially good for the precinct. However, we are at such a late stage in the development that I caution members about interfering in such a way that might delay this project beyond the dates anticipated not only by the traders within the area but also the lessees of new office space, which are taking their accommodation well within the timeframes that we're discussing. However, Lord Mayor, that said, I remain open to listening to the views of others, and I look forward to the workshop on the 18th on the proviso that the administration does not cease work on the project as it is progressing at the moment.
Thank you. Unless there is a you've already spoken, I think. I think you've actually had your go. I think you really have had your go, Councillor. I think it will become clear at the workshop. I don't think we'll deal with that now. Unless there's a contrary view, summing up, Councillor? Summed up. All those in favour of we're only voting on part 4. On part 4. All those in favour of part 4 only? Which is the amendment. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you. That becomes part of the motion. Unless there's any further comment, shall we put that? All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on. Councillor Marr, would you like to move item 7.3, which is the third part, recommendation 3 of item 12?
Yes, happy to move.
Moved.
As printed? Yep.
Seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor. Would you like to speak, Councillor Marr?
I'll reserve my right at this point.
Okie dokie. Seconder?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And as some of you may be aware, there was an accident, not an accident, an incident on Gilbert Street this week involving...
Just raise the fact that we're talking about the parklands, not the CBD.
No, I just want to make a point that I understand that, Lord Mayor, forgive me. I just want to make it clear that I am supporting this motion as it is written, acknowledging that it is a speed decrease from 60 to 50 within the parklands. But I also want to flag with my fellow elected members that I would like to, at some point in the near future, look at speed limits within the city terraces, acknowledging that this is a separate issue, and I don't want to conflate them, but I just want to be clear with that. So thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. And to Councillor Davis.
Yeah, this is quite frankly insanity. I cannot believe that this council is considering a motion with no consultation and no traffic report whatsoever to carte blanche reduce the speed limit for every single pipeline, every single vein, every artery into the city. We have some 300,000 people who come into the city, and you want to propose to reduce that speed limit to 50 kilometres. This is not just a 2-second difference. This will cause congestion throughout the entire Greater Adelaide region. Very similar to a river. If you have a small trickling river and you dump large boulders in the middle of the river, it will bank up. And that is exactly what will happen with this proposal here. There are 100,000 cars come in and out of the city easily every day. And roads like West Terrace see 55,000 visitors and traffic every single day. This is people trying to get into the city to spend their money, to get to work, to get home to see their family, to see the doctor, to meet appointments. There is absolutely no justification for this motion progressing. Now, I hear the cries of safety, but the report does not back up that supposed fear. The reasoning that this is going to improve safety, to me, is absolutely ridiculous. Most of the roads coming into the city are already at the 85th percentile, going 50 kilometres an hour. On the rare chance that you can go at 60 along these major roads, it's an absolute pleasure. But what it will mean is that in the early morning, at later night, that congestion will continue to bank up. And there is no traffic study. There is no consultation. You haven't asked anybody about this. And this is a huge destruction of our city's CBD. It is a huge restriction on people's ability to do business. And this is why people are angry with the City of Adelaide Council. This is why people are calling for the city to be sacked, because it's motions like this that have no consideration or regard for the business users, for the workers, for those who need to catch public transport, for example, who will be slowed down on their trip in. This is completely anti-business. It's anti-CBD. It's anti-Adelaide. And I absolutely cannot fathom why anyone would support this. Now, this is based on a thing called the Stockholm Declaration in your reports 2.1.1, which says that any pedestrian, any cyclist and car on a road, that road should automatically be at 30 kilometres an hour. This is some international treaty that was adopted, God knows where, probably Stockholm, which says that every single road in all of Adelaide, in all of South Australia, should go to 30 kilometres an hour. That's what that declaration does, and we're trying to adhere to this treaty that the federal government signed on to, having no regard for the actual people and the impact that will have in the CBD of Adelaide. Now, it's no wonder why this council is seen as having a war on cars, but you're also having a war on ambulances, you're having a war on people who get here by bus, you're having a war on businesses, and no wonder this council is being called to be sacked. And I agree with
Are there any other views? I think that Councillor Martin, Councillor Siebentrit, Councillor Freeman, 3. Thank you. Councillor and the mover could...
Lord Mayor, if I may, I'm just a bit confused after the address we've just had from Councillor Davis. What is proposed for West Terrace? It was mentioned there's no involvement of West Terrace. And I heard that there's some sort of treaty that we're honouring to reduce speed limits to 30 kilometres an hour. That's not true? Well, look, Councillor Davis infers I haven't read the report. I have read the report at length, and I recall it came to committee and there was an argument from Councillor Davis that the world would cease if those 5 roads were reduced to a speed limit that's consistent with all other Parklands roads. And indeed, I've just listened to him say to all of us here that as it is, people are doing 50 kilometres an hour on these major roads. When they can do 60, it is something of a surprise, but generally they're already doing 50 kilometres an hour. There's a large inconsistency in the arguments being presented to us. It is 5 roads associated with the Parklands. It will bring consistency, it will bring safety, and moreover, it will bring to those roads the same speed limits that apply in other areas, including the suburbs in which Councillor Davis is familiar, in the hills. Now, I have to pay regard to his understanding of the use of those traffic routes as a visitor to the city. I know that he has greater experience than I do in travelling those routes.
Can I have a point of order? I have a point of order. I mean, I personally love the attention, but is this a motion about where I live? I live in Aldgate, or is this a motion about the speed limits? Because so far Phil Martin is only speaking about me rather than the motion, and I love his attention, and he's probably quite obsessed with me. Finishing my point of order.
Oh, I've lost the will, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. So I think it was Councillor Stephen Tripp, Councillor Freeman.
One thing I've learned being in this chamber, Lord Mayor, is we never miss the opportunity to try and label council as being anti the city or anti-Adelaide, and yet nothing could be further from the truth. This is about for the people of Adelaide. It's for those people coming in who are living in the city, who are working in the city on a regular basis. It's in favour of creating greater consistency in the speed limits. That's not just greater consistency here within the city, where you don't have to go far to look at whether we're in the city of Unley, other councils in and around the city here, where we're looking at getting greater consistency in speeds. When we talk about safety, we don't need another report to establish the safety of going from 60 to 50 kilometres per hour. I remember when we discussed and debated this not that long ago in the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee, and I took the time then to look at what was studies 20 years ago. Studied, it was in Victoria. I know that's in Victoria, maybe that's another state, but it was very clear, the evidence, and that's been mounting for years, about the safety benefits we get from reductions in speed. We also heard just earlier on about potentially saving, what was it, 2 seconds. I heard the term 2 seconds referenced. Well, fortunately, and thank you to the administration, we've got some stats, we've got some numbers in here, and it suggests that the impact on people travelling those routes, if they're going at top speed, is somewhere between 6 and 12 seconds. Lord Mayor, I suggest to you that that's a reasonable price to pay, and that absolutely passes the pub test, and that's the sort of decision that people want to be seeing us make for the people who not just live here in the city, but also those coming in here to work in the city.
Thank you. Councillor Freeman.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Just to add to that, and there's been some great sentiments so far, so I just wanted to touch on the justification for this that has been presented to us tonight in the report. So firstly, we do have a draft traffic impact statement, which is where it was determined that the average speeds on the roads we're talking about tonight primarily are travelling at 50 kilometres an hour or 40, even less, the majority of the time. It also determined that the expected increase of travel time for motor vehicles, if the speed limit remains at 60 kilometres an hour, is at worst 5 seconds that you'll lose for 50 kilometres an hour, or at best 12 seconds on Glen Osmond Road. So that has been presented to us, and as Councillor Siebentrit says, I think that's a very reasonable price to pay for safety. And to that end, we are talking about safety for everyone, and this council has an obligation to ensure safety for all the people that come into this city, and not just the 63.3% of people that drive themselves. So we are talking about pedestrians, cyclists, people on public transport, people generally in the city, and we can't exclude them from this debate when we talk about slowing business down. Finally, this is not new, so reductions in speed limits has been in several council strategies that were consulted on, including the Integrated Transport Strategy, which was consulted on in November 2024 and again in May 2025. It was also specified in the City Plan, consulted on in 2024, and those strategies point to the state and national guidance, which also talk about speed limit reductions being a way to unlock safety. So all of these documents really are saying the same thing, and it's not just safety for pedestrians. This is about reducing the severity and frequency of crashes between vehicles and vehicles, vehicles and poles, vehicles and trees. So in terms of supporting business, having less collisions on the road is a really great way to do that. And despite the 6 to 12 seconds that may be an impact on the road as a result of these speed limit reductions, I actually think we're speeding things up by having less collisions.
Thank you very much. Was Councillor Kouros going to speak? I'm sorry, I just wasn't sure whether your hand was up or not.
Lord Mayor, I don't profess to be an expert, and I'm not going to sit here and roll off the stats as Councillor Freeman has so eloquently done, and so has Councillor Siebentreb. But what I do know as a person that lives in North Adelaide and has businesses in North Adelaide, and who regularly drives her car into the city, understands how these roads work. And predominantly the one that I am concerned about are the ones in North Adelaide. And what I do know is that Montefiore Road is a 3-lane road with no pedestrians that do cross over. There is no one that ever crosses from the golf course over into Adelaide Oval. Everyone parks into in War Memorial Drive, and there are lights, and there are people that cross into the Adelaide Oval from the lights. No one even attempts to cross over this street. So I'm amazed that we think that this is one road that needs to go down to 50, where its slowest time is only early in the morning, and it's at 5 o'clock at night. Every other time, it very smoothly, and no incidences have I ever seen. And the other one that concerns me is Jeffcott Road and Maynorth Road, where they both lead into a road that goes 60 kilometres straight away into main thoroughfare, main roads. So I'm failing as a layperson, as a simple person, how this all makes sense. And I just don't, to me, it doesn't. I sat there at my house early hours in the morning. I live on a road that's 50 kilometres an hour, and I watched people hoon drive around the suburb at 80 to 100 kilometres an hour. So I have no idea how, or I fail to see how this is going to stop people from driving crazy. And you cannot stop the crazies. It's going to happen. Generally, everyone does the right thing. Generally, motorists are very mindful and are not doing anything crazy at 60 kilometres an hour. So while there are all these traffic studies, while there are all these scientific studies on if you hit somebody at 10 kilometres an hour, 20 kilometres an hour, 30 kilometres an hour, of course they're going to have less injuries. I'm failing to understand why we're actually talking about these roads without a consultation, without actually taking it out to a public. I hope there is going to be a consultation with DIP. I'm not sure how the process goes from here, but I'm not going to be supporting this knowing how I know where I live and where our businesses are in North Adelaide, how my residents are going to feel.
So thank you. If we move on to Councillor Moran to be closing the debate. Councillor Davis, you've spoken already. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Do you have a question?
You're going to me. There's been a number of figures thrown out, 2 seconds, 6 seconds, 12 seconds. My question is, was the speed limit calculations done on the back of an envelope, or have the administration done an actual investigation into how the reduction to 50 kilometres will impact Adelaide and the Greater Adelaide region?
I think that it was to do with the distance travelled and the impact of 10k, but I'm not sure. Can we have an answer?
Through the presiding member, are we able to respond to the question, Mr McCready?
Thank you, CEO. Through you, Lord Mayor, a traffic impact statement has been provided to DIT for approval and for consideration. Naturally, it highlights the impact in regards to timings associated with speed reductions, and DIT on the whole are in favour of speed reductions. In regards to the question, how does it impact the city? The reality would be is that timing associated with the reduction in speed is the potential impact, which could be mitigated through traffic lights or traffic signal adjustments. But DIT are of the view that it isn't significant and they were in favour of the reductions.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Would you like to sum up?
Hold on, can I call for those documents to be produced? And
I'm sorry,
advice from DIT?
I can't hear.
Can I call for the advice from DIT to be produced to Council?
I think we're advising DIT, aren't we? Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Marr, would you like to sum up?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I personally don't think this one goes far enough. I understand that there is a process, it takes time. Point 3 of this motion relates to West Terrace in particular, probably the most important road we could possibly get right for a speed reduction with the school and the amount of traffic that it has and the amount of pedestrian traffic that it has. Though I do understand that we do have to we have to take a step change here. So as is, this is for all of the information that we've been presented with, and it has been a lot of information. I can tell you, I'm chairing the IPW meetings for this, there's been a lot of reading. This is a no-brainer. It really is. I can't see what the arguments are. People do definitely cross Montefiore Road. We're looking at putting the Live Golf there in the future, which is going to increase the pedestrian traffic. I can't see how we have 50,000 people parking in War Memorial Drive on an event day. I can personally tell you that I've had several near misses on that street with pedestrians while working as a passenger transport industry on that particular road. So I think all of these concerns that we have, the business loss going from 60 to 50 kilometres an hour, I think that's worth a couple of extra dollars because you get paid per minute. So we're getting 12 extra seconds to cross that strip. Well, hey, that's good for business. I've got to tell you, I really don't see any of these arguments against the motion that we have before us tonight of any consideration that would make a difference. I think we need to progress this and move on to the next item.
Thank you for that. We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour as printed? Against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on to the next item, item number 13, agenda item 13. I imagine you might want, Councillor Siebentrit, are we going to take this en bloc or individually?
I'd be happy to move it en bloc, Lord Mayor.
Are members happy with that? Is it seconded? Councillor Marr seconded. Would you like to speak to it?
I reserve my right for now, Lord Mayor.
Councillor Martin.
Yes, Lord Mayor. Look, just a couple of things, and I would like to speak. Firstly, in relation to, as we're moving this en bloc, in relation to page 536, in relation to Council's responsibility to maintain and update a regional health plan, do we have a plan? There's a delegation to the CEO charging him with responsibility, and in all my time on the city, I've not seen a health plan. Are we developing one?
Through the presiding member, I think there's a legislative obligation for council to prepare a public health plan.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there is an obligation.
But we haven't developed one yet.
That's not my understanding through the presiding member.
I think we do a vaccination program mainly, don't we? That's our major involvement. And public health, can I? So,
No, that's something...
Yeah, through the presiding member, council's obligations regarding a public health plan are committed through its community wellbeing plan by another name.
Oh, okay, thank you. And look, just a curiosity really, in relation to council's management of, at pages 629 and 630, Legionella outbreaks. Is that something that is declining in the city because of the manufacture of superior systems, or is that still an issue?
Through the presiding member, there have been small instances of Legionella infections over a period of the last 20 years. In terms of the numbers, I'm not able to answer specifically in regards to the most recent experience. Importantly, Council should note that reports of Legionella come to us via SA Health, generally on the back of advice from medical practitioners to SA Health, who then refer those reported cases to various council jurisdictions. But happy to take a question on notice for the next meeting regarding instances, if that was your intent.
Thank you, CEO. Thank you, Lord Mayor. Look, I will now speak, and it's a lot of material that is being considered en bloc. Firstly, and I'll take them in the order in which they appear, the annual report and...
I was in error in taking this en bloc. Are people wishing to debate each one? No? Okay, we'll carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And look, I acknowledge your message at the beginning of the annual report, noting particularly some achievements about which we should all be pleased. That is the increase in street tree plantage, the development of roads to the extent that they have been developed, and additionally the broader comments about the road ahead. But of course it is, when you delve into the numbers, and what a beautiful set of numbers it is, when you delve into the numbers, you see what a great job the administration has done, hand in glove with the elected body, in producing a financial future for this city, one that is based on sound principles, and the cornerstone of which is delivering a operating surplus every year. I also want to congratulate members on endorsing at committee the new behavioural management policy. It is a substantial shift in terms of the way in which complaints are dealt with, and I think will lead to a process that is held in high regard. One of the problems we have at this time, one of the criticisms of the system, is that it is determined by the Lord Mayor, and in the absence of the Lord Mayor, or where the Lord Mayor is conflicted, by the Deputy Lord Mayor. And that will now be replaced, as you all know from the papers, by an independent person or agency determined by the Council. This in turn will streamline the matters and add additional reforms, including a process by which elected members will be presented with reports about investigations that concern them prior to the publication of the reports. I commend members. I think it's an excellent process, and moreover, the additional refinements which are outlined in the delegations, which determine where there is a problem in enforcing a finding by an investigation, that the matter is referred to the Behavioural Standards Panel, the Ombudsman, or ultimately to SACAT as a means of resolving deadlocks, impasses that may have occurred in the past. Lord Mayor, I will support this entire en bloc 900 pages for the annual report, for the changes to those delegations, and most particularly for the streamlining of the behavioural management policy.
Thank you. Councillor Kouros.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. That's music to my ears that Councillor Martin is absolutely loving the new behavioural policy, because it's exactly what I proposed when we were doing the behavioural policy, and that it was the way that we should have gone forward from the start. So I'm so glad that he can finally see that what I had proposed was something that would have been a much better option for us to deal with the complaints. So that is music to my ears.
I think we are in furious agreement. Councillor Noon.
I'm not actually quite sure if I'm in furious agreement with... we didn't actually have a chance to actually discuss the behavioural report at committee because we were rushing through the last 2 or 3 reports, and so it was really just pushed through to council. And I did have a few questions on it actually, and one was the removal of the informal action, because I actually believe that this may discourage early resolution and increase formal investigations even for minor disagreements. So I actually see that as a bit of an issue, that it goes straight to a formal, like an external body, when some of these things could actually be sorted out before that happens and escalates. I also have an issue with, previously the Lord Mayor and Deputy Mayor assessed complaints initially. Under this new policy, all complaints go to the external assessor. This process, it removes the potential for bias and conflict, but also reduces the council ability to informally resolve the matter earlier, which is similar to what I just said before. There is a couple of other areas that I must admit I have a bit of an issue with. One is now explicitly states any person, including members of the public, can make a complaint against a councillor, may open the door to vexatious or politically motivated complaints. What criteria will be used to dismiss clearly vexatious or repetitive complaints through this process? So I do see it has some holes, I must admit. I've got quite a few of them. I'm not going to bore everyone with them tonight, but it's certainly, to me, I would have liked to have actually workshopped this a little bit more thoroughly than just dismiss it and just bring it to council and just put a big tick on it. I would actually like to do that, Councillor Kouros, because I do actually have some other points that I would like to make. I went through this probably because I have interest in this type of thing rather than maybe roads, although I'm very much on safety issues. But this is something that I actually feel we need to actually discuss more thoroughly. And I think it was dismissed very quickly at committee last week.
I'm happy to second that motion.
That we actually push this back to committee. Defer it? Yeah. Can we defer this to?
Maybe I might just ask a couple of questions here. Section 4.2 of... No,
is Councillor Noon moving an amendment?
Yeah, an amendment to actually defer this back to committee so we can actually have a proper discussion about this. Well, I just wanted to go through the reasons why that I feel uncomfortable with this.
Advice. Can I have advice about that motion?
Through the presiding member, Councillor Noon, in speaking to the item, has resolved to move an amendment,
okay, all right,
which would constitute a referral back to City Finance and Governance.
Okay. And then was it seconded?
Yeah, I second it.
I think it was seconded by Councillor Davis. So the amendment is what? Is it a deferral or?
Might assist.
I haven't actually got an amendment here.
If I might assist.
Yes, please.
That Council defers consideration of the item.
Might I make a suggestion that we take on block prior to recommendation 3 and then do recommendation 3
I'm sorry,
separately?
can we just have the words?
And request administration bring the item back to the next meeting of the City Finance and Governance Committee, scheduled for 18 November 2025.
Does that capture your views, Councillor Noon?
Yes, only because everyone must admit that it was pretty well dismissed last week, and because we ran out of time.
Thank you. That's the motion has been moved and seconded by Councillor Davis.
Sorry, Lord Mayor, can I just clarify, this was moved on block, but as the mover I'm happy to take it in parts that assists.
I think that now we're moving an amendment to part 3. If it's... so we're only going to get 2 amendments onto this.
Yeah. This might be strange, but you know that I'm running for the upper house. I did actually have a policy on this as well, and many of the things that Councillor Noon talked about was also my view. For example, the fact that I think it's incredibly divisive straight off that the mayor or the deputy mayor has to consider codes of conduct. It immediately puts them at odds with members. I also believe that the triviality test needs to be strengthened significantly, because where something is completely minor and a waste of time, it needs to be dismissed, and there needs to be a clear minimum standard before something gets progressed. I also agree that mediation is an excellent outcome, and in court matters, 95% of matters are solved in mediation or a tussle between the litigators before they even get to that point, saving tens of thousands of dollars. I also believe that isolated breaches should be kept confidential where they're minor in nature, because it does cause the chamber to then divide politically.
Talking to the policy as printed, or your ambition for a different policy?
The deferral. I'm speaking to the deferral. Why it should be deferred to consider other matters.
But I think you're actually speaking to something other than the policy as printed.
No, I'm speaking to the reasons and justifications of why it should be deferred. Similar to the point on Goodger Street, I'm speaking to why I think it should be deferred and the things that we should discuss. I also think that there should be an objective standard of assessment as a reasonable person, and I also think that there should be independent determination of sanctions. I also believe that there should be an establishment of a legal service that councillors can access.
Councillor, I think this is in the policy, is it not? This is all in the policy.
Okay.
I think it's actually in the policy, so I'm a little confused.
I understand that there are some things in there, but there are other things. For example, the fact that there should be a legal service available to councillors with the LGA, because when the administration comes down, they're paying tens of thousands of dollars, and it's an issue that's faced by many councillors across the state who I support through my legal practice, where you're essentially up against the Goliath of...
Point of order, Lord Mayor. No advertisements for legal practices, please.
We need to keep on the matter of stick to the deferral.
You should call a point of order on that. It's just
no. I think we just need to keep to the deferral, because we don't need to hear about your practice.
I'm justifying the things that we should raise in the committee and saying why we should have a deferral, because there are a lot of issues that I would amend to that. I don't understand. Can I just ask, why are you so against me talking to this motion? What's the purpose of Councillor Martin laughing and interjecting, and what's the purpose of you not being able to let me speak?
Councillor, this is not an opportunity for you to question me. I'm just suggesting you stick to the motion.
Well, have a point of order then, Lord Mayor.
What is your point of order?
My point of order is that you are being obstructing my ability to debate this motion with constant interjections. I'm making a justification well within my rights as to why we should go to a deferral and things that we should consider,
Councillor,
and why I do not think that the current motion should go ahead.
The deferral is not the issue. I reject your point of order. Please carry on speaking.
Yeah, I'm sure you would reject my point of order, given you're the one who's constantly interjecting me and you can't let me even finish a simple speech. It's 3 minutes and I have a right of 3 minutes to speak to it.
It's Councillor Marr.
Speaking to the amendment. Yes. The reason given Councillor Noon was that it removes the informal resolution method. The very nature of being an informal resolution is that it would probably happen before a complaint is made. And I do want to point out section 4.2 of the policy refers to an attempt to resolve a complaint informally prior to making a complaint. And section 7 gives a reason for a dismissal, which is that a council member who does make a complaint, their concern may be dismissed if they have not made any efforts to resolve the matter informally. So I do believe that is covered in the motion, in the policy. So I can't support the deferral for that reason. It is covered, and at a second point, at the meeting where this was moved on block, I maybe need to remind the room that was moved on block by Councillor Davis, who apparently has a lot to say about the matter. So the opportunity to speak about it was at that committee, and everyone who was present did have that opportunity to speak on that motion. So I don't think we need to defer this. The opportunity's been and gone. We've finally brought it to council, and today's the day we can move it on. Thank you.
So, Councillor Noon has her hand raised. Do you wish to sum up?
Well, I'm moving this as a deferral because I gave a couple of examples of issues I had, but that's not all of them. I don't want to actually bog down this council meeting tonight with all of the issues that I have on this document. And we did not have the proper discussion and debate at committee we were rushing through at the end. We had a big program. Everybody was tired. Everybody wanted to leave. And I was like, what happened there? And at the end of the day, we were rushing through, and in particular this one, and I thought, okay, when I went through this particular item, I did pick up quite a lot of stuff. And I actually think that it is worthwhile to go back to committee and to actually unpack this a bit more.
Thank you. We'll put just this amendment, the part in red we're going to vote on, and it will then become part of the motion, which is the 3 parts in entirety. So all those in favour of Councillor Noon's amendment? That's carried. Against, sorry. Can I just against? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's carried. That now becomes the motion. And we'll take all 3 on block now. All those in... would you want to sum up? I'm sorry. Councillor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I would welcome the opportunity to sum up, just as I get my notes here. So I think it's always worthwhile when we see reports come through, particularly the annual reports, not just to present this as a tick and flick, because it's a moment to reflect on everything that's occurred in the past year, and Councillor Martin's kicked off on that. But it's a good reminder in some of the opening words in the annual report, which really reminds us of our primary focus here, which is to make Adelaide a better place to live, work and play. And we've done this in the past year. Important to remember that we've spent over $1 million on capital works, with over 400 projects being undertaken, and it was the first year for the first full year of implementing our strategic plan. Now, Councillor Martin did mention some of the achievements, but let me add to that, because I think it's worth reflecting on. We've progressed major street upgrades, so we've got revitalisation plans coming along, particularly for Hindley and Goodger. We heard about Goodger earlier on. Significant paving happening on Adelaide O'Connell. $5 million makeover of Charles Street. I'm not sure how many members have been down Charles Street recently, but it is looking absolutely smashing. We've also committed 2 long-running projects, so the final section, the Market to Riverbank Link, and Pitt Street, and the north-south bikeway along Frome Street. We also, in this last year, remind members we've made commitment to improving community buildings on parklands through Park 21 West and at other sites than parklands as well. Also wanted to note that this has all been done with a focus on responsible financial management. Now, we're seeing that come through in the draft long-term financial management plan that's out, but also we're seeing that come through in our continued commitment to responsible financial management and getting our asset renewal funding ratio, which isn't the sexiest term, let's face it, but absolutely critical the way this place functions, getting that back to 100%. Can also just pause for a moment, Lord Mayor, to recognise and thank the fantastic work happening across ACMA, AIDA, Catatilla, and also the Brown Hill and Keswick Creek Stormwater Management Boards. We're seeing incredible energy and excitement coming around the work of ACMA, particularly around Market Square, which is already getting recognition around the legacy it will leave in the future. This is even before it's been completed. The legacy it will create around heritage and development. And also shout out to AIDA, who've been doing wonderful things with our business community, including an amazing set of numbers for Rundle Mall, where we saw a 6% increase in spending in Rundle Mall, $1.5 billion in spending, and what I understand is the lowest vacancy rate of any capital city shopping strip in the country. That's something that AIDA should be congratulated for. So recognise the significant achievements that are contained within the suite of annual reports, but I did want to finish in saying, Lord Mayor, that we recognise that none of this is possible without the significant work of the staff at the Council, and I'd like to recognise their work and thank them for their efforts over the past year.
I'll put that to the vote. This is all 3 parts together as amended. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, members. We'll move on to item 14. The first item is an external appointment. I'll ask someone to move part 1, which is noting the term of the appointment, moved by Deputy Lord Mayor, seconded by Councillor Martin, which is just noting the appointment. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Now I'm asking for nominations for a member of Council to be a member of the Council of the Royal South Australian Regiment. Deputy Lord Mayor?
I nominate Councillor Davis.
Nominated. Are you prepared to accept it?
Look, if there are no other nominations, I will, but I would prefer somebody else. I already run 7 charities which hand out about $3 million to South Australians. I'm extremely time poor in that regard. So if there is somebody else who could serve, I'd appreciate somebody else. But if nobody else respects our armed forces, then I suppose I will.
Councillor Cabada.
I would like to nominate Councillor Marr.
Are you prepared to take it, Councillor Martin?
Was
it Councillor Martin or Councillor Martin?
I'm not able to. As most people know, I have a full-time employment. In terms of that, council, my other commitments, there's just not enough time.
But you can take on the chair position for the money. Look, I'm happy to take it. I understand it's not a paid role, so it might not interest those other chairs who are clearly too busy. There's no money in it, so I'm happy to serve my community.
Brett, can you sit down? I'm just asking a question of the administration. Do we know the time of the day when the meetings are held?
It's in the report. Thursday, 6 p.m.
6 p.m. and they meet 4 times a year. Do I have any other nominations? Councillor Noon will nominate for herself. Thank you. In that case, are you going to withdraw, Councillor?
I'll withdraw my nomination. I would struggle.
Okay, we'll go back again. Are there any other nominations? Because then we'll have a ballot. No? If not, and Councillor Noon has accepted it?
Through the presiding member, considering there's only one nomination to the appointment, I declare Councillor Noon appointed to membership of the Royal South Australian Regiment Council.
Thank you. Congratulations. Do we need to actually endorse that with a vote?
No.
We'll accept that. Thank you very much for taking that on, Councillor. Could we then move on to the next item? Thank you. Are we moving on? 15, which is 15.2. This is to note and receive and endorse. Moved by Deputy Lord Mayor, seconded by Councillor Martin. Unless there's any comment, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll go on to 15. The past fortnight has been very active in Adelaide. We had the opening night of the film festival, which occurred at Capri Theatre in Goodwood, but is involving most of the cinemas across the metro area. The red carpet was rolled out for the premiere of Jimper, which was one of 123 films coming from 27 countries. The next night, immediately after that, was the opening of the Tarnanthi Festival, the 10th anniversary. And that milestone was marked at the town hall by the Pukarari, which means slow down. A group of artists from Pukaja, which is Annabella, came to launch the evocative exhibition that's upstairs, which brought the power of First Nations people into the town hall. We've subsequently, of course, had Cheese Fest. We've had visits from diplomats, and one of the first to occur for the last couple of months was a welcome at the town hall to His Excellency Ioannis Miklos Levados, who's the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Hellenic Republic. He had a very warm greeting from the Greek community in Adelaide, related to the shared heritage and the large number of migrants who have made an extraordinary contribution and impact in our city. It was fortuitous that he spoke about the potential to have a memorandum of understanding and a relationship with Athens. And I'm delighted to say that Mayor Haris Doukas of Athens has now written to me suggesting that we are able now to sign an MOU between our cities. As he's attending the C40 World Mayors Summit in Rio next week, he suggested that it would be possible for us to sign our agreement at that point, and I've arranged to meet him in Brazil, and we will sign our MOU there. This is an extraordinary initiative, and I have to commend Councillor Kouros for her interest and work in making this relationship happen. As you know, she has already met the Mayor and has been involved in this activity for some time. I thank her for her efforts. In addition, there have been a whole range of activities in the city. There have been sod turning events. There's been topping out of Market Square, where the office tower has now reached its peak. It was a council-driven development, delivering in partnership with ICD Property, which will breathe extraordinary new life into the Central Market precinct. Another development that was driven by the City Council and supported by the State Government was the one on 88 O'Connell Street, which has now become occupied and is bursting with activity. There were perhaps a dozen stalled approvals and at least 6 positive approvals that I can remember over 35 years. So it was quite moving to see something actually happen on the site, and I think many of us will be delighted with the real change that will occur in the City Street now. Back at the Town Hall, we've had one civic reception, and that was unusual in that we were celebrating the skilled people who'd worked on the restoration of our own facade. After 2 years of painstaking conservation with plasterers, architects, flashing contractors, painters, stonemasons, engineers, scaffolders, clock restorers, cast iron restorers, it was a pleasure to welcome those people into our town hall and actually spend time with them. They are extraordinary artisans, and they often work in lost arts and lost crafts, where the activity in Rymel House, the Naval and Military, and various heritage buildings around the city have had an impact on really resurrecting some lost crafts. Many of you would have attended the opera, Romeo and Juliet, Harvest Rock, Ausasia. It's happening across the city, but we have one item that I have to bring to your attention. I have 2 awards on the table. The City of Adelaide Off-Street Parking Operations, U-Park, received 2 major honours in the 2025 Parking Industry Awards ceremony in Sydney this year. These awards were for outstanding customer service and the Parking Organisation of the Year. These awards recognise the success of our U-Park parking app, which was launched a little over a year ago and has transformed the way our residents and visitors park in the city. I particularly want to commend the staff at the U-Park who have worked on this innovation and provide good service and extraordinary teamwork. They make the city buzz, and they contribute greatly to the economy and financial advantages our city has, not just in Rundle Mall, but in the Central Market, Rundle Street East, North Terrace, and across the city. So I congratulate them all. Thank you. Someone moved by Councillor Abraham today, seconded by Councillor Noon. All those in favour for receipt? Against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on to item 16. Councillors' reports. Deputy Lord Mayor. And then Councillor...
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Last week I had 2 opportunities to represent yourself and the City of Adelaide. First, on Thursday the 23rd of October, I spoke at the SA Zero Homelessness Summit, which was a real eye-opening event and a real good opportunity to talk to representatives, advocates, and most importantly those with lived experience of homelessness. And I was able to talk about all the things that the City of Adelaide has done as part of that coalition of organisations, governments, etc., towards pushing towards functional zero homelessness. And I will say the City of Adelaide's participation in that programme has been received very, very, very well, and I look forward to continuing to Council continuing that support going forward. On Friday, the 24th of October, I spoke representing you, Lord Mayor, at the opening of a Moon Lantern Trail for the Ausasia Festival. I believe Councillor Couros and Councillor Martin were also in attendance. A really, really good atmosphere, lots of cultural and community leaders at that event. And when we walked down into the trail itself, there was a lot of families and kind of joyful revelry at all the lanterns and the lights and the sights and sounds. So a wonderful part of our festival calendar. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Just very briefly, I wanted to reflect on both of the school governing councils I attended in the last fortnight for Adelaide High School as well as Adelaide Botanic High School. It was quite exciting to be there. Both schools, their Year 12s are almost finished. They're going into exam time, so there was a really good buzz in the air. There are a few things I took from those meetings, first of which their enrolments are growing very rapidly in the city. Adelaide Botanic High School had 50 new enrolments this year. They're sitting at about 1,300 enrolments now, but expect that to grow by a few hundred in the next 3 to 4 years. Adelaide High School has rapidly expanded in the last 10 years, growing from about 900 enrolments to about 1,900. So I think that that's really exacerbating some of the concerns that I and other councillors may have about safety around schools in the city, and making sure that these children are able to get to school safely. West Terrace in particular is something that I did talk at length about with Adelaide High School. There's lots of safety issues there at the moment. Actually, the way that they're managing crowding in front of the school is by staggering the times that students leave, just to have less people out on the street, and actually a teacher accidentally got pushed onto West Terrace at one point. So in light of all of the safety improvements we're doing in this city, I'm really interested in where the safe school investigations have gotten to. Something else we talked about at Adelaide High School was issues the school was having with teenagers driving to school, which is always very exciting, but there were some concerns with that, and they were trying to actually restrict that entirely on school grounds. And I do think that is a nice reminder of the people driving in the city are not established drivers all of the time. We do have vulnerable people driving in the city as well, for which safety absolutely needs to be managed. Finally, at Adelaide High School, we also received a great little presentation from the group of 12 prefects, not dissimilar to the 12 elected members we have here tonight, and they delivered one by one a very orderly, connected speech about their school year, and there were no interruptions at all, and I thought that was just amazing, so I thought I would share that with this elected body.
Thank you. Councillor Couros, and then we'll move around the line. Firstly, Lord Mayor, I did not attend Harvest Rock, but I did, as I do with all festivals that we have within the City of Adelaide, I did walk around the streets and to get a feel of how the festival was being received. And as the AHA Chief Executive said, it was an unexpected boost for the businesses. I had never seen so many people in the pubs and enjoying our businesses, surrounding businesses, and it was so good to see. It just goes to show that a festival that is outward more than inward is very beneficial for our businesses, and that rain was very, very welcome by the pubs and the surrounding businesses in regards to Harvest Rock. But I stand up today also, Lord Mayor, to acknowledge 88 O'Connell being built and finalised within the City of Adelaide. It was opened, we attended. It was 36 years this site remained vacant, and it took 36 months to build, and we finally have a mixed-use development that is bringing new life and new people within the precinct, and it was very well received from everybody that attended, and I believe we had Councillor Noon attended, Councillor Freeman, and Councillor Abrahimzadeh and yourself, Lord Mayor. When I first stood for council in 2018, it was the determination to see this site develop. It means a lot to the people, some people of North Adelaide. It wasn't very well received by everybody, but I think there is something that we are going to get accustomed to, because it's bringing new life to the precinct. On the personal note, it was one of the most challenging journeys I actually ever had been part of. I endured naysayers, internal politics and opposition unlike anything I've ever experienced. I'd like to thank the former Lord Mayors, Martin Hazy and Sandy Verschoor, the previous two councils who voted to purchase the block of land to build the development there, and for those that voted for the development to happen. Also Commercial in general, I know it was a labour of love for them, and also our staff. They had worked tirelessly on the project. They worked with the community, and it's proof to say that it was a very committed and shared vision, and it has transformed North Adelaide, and I hope it continues to do so. And I look forward to the new chapter for North Adelaide.
I just wanted to thank you, Lord Mayor, for attending the sod turning for Keystone Tower with the Premier, an exciting project that will no doubt bring thousands and thousands of people to the City of Adelaide. And as confirmed within Daily, it will be Adelaide's first skyscraper and our tallest public building.
Councillor Noon?
Just, that's okay. I'll just
to speak.
No. I do want to actually. I did also go to the opening of 88 O'Connell Street, and I wasn't involved with any of the politics or any of the shenanigans that happened in previous councils. But I have to also say it was very impressive, and I did acknowledge the previous councils for getting to that point, and certainly I don't think that the staff were acknowledged on the day the way they should have been. It was incredible. I do actually agree with Councillor Couros 100% that it will change North Adelaide for the better. I lived there for 10 years of my life, and I would have loved that building to be there when I was living there. So it was very impressive, and well done to our incredible team.
Councillor Cabada, I'm sorry, and Councillor Siebentrud.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I would just firstly like to thank everyone who helped me during my campaign get here, whether with time, funding or resources. I would also like to commend Jamie McClurg on 88 O'Connell Street and the whole administration for the amazing work they've done. I think seeing projects like this come to life is great for our city. It means we'll get more people into the city, and it also means we'll get more trades into the city as well. I also attended the Adelaide Economic Development Agency AGM that they had, and I just want to commend them as well on the good work that they're doing for our city in bringing investment and businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Siebentrud.
Lord Mayor, on a sad note, I just wanted to note the recent passing of John Underwood, who's a previous chairperson of the South East City Residents Association. Organisations like SECA are really the lifeblood of community engagement right across the city. And John was previously, he joined the committee back in 2007 and was chairperson of the committee from 2009 through to 2019. And all of us who are involved with community organisations recognise how much work is involved. And he was committed to, I suppose, chairing that organisation over a 10-year period. He did everything from producing the quarterly newsletters to attending really a range of different meetings, for example, with Adelaide 500 staff, and looking at how to get local residents more involved with what's happening out in our parklands. He was also a SECA representative on the former Lord Mayor Sandy Shaw's roundtable on revitalising Hutt Street, and had various other forms of engagement in around the southeast of the city and generally contributing to our parklands. So we recognise his significant contribution that he made to the life of the city, and we pass our condolences on to his family. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. We'll move receipt of comments and noting. So moved by Councillor Cabada, seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you. Members, in moving to 16.2, I might just ask Councillor Couros, you have a personal explanation?
Yes, Lord Mayor. Lord Mayor, I rise to issue a public apology for my actions during a meeting of Council held on the 28th of May 2024. During that meeting, I declared a material conflict of interest with respect to the matter of consideration at item 17.1 of the agenda and left the chamber. However, during Council's consideration of the matter, I texted Councillor Davis about the subject matter of that item from outside the chamber. This was a breach of Section 62(1) of the Local Government Act 1999 and constitutes misconduct under the Ombudsman Act 1972. I apologise for my actions to the Council and to the public, and I will leave this room as this matter is going to be discussed.
Thank you very much, Councillor. So Councillor Couros is now leaving the room while we move this motion. Could I ask Councillor Abrahimzadeh, are you moving as printed? Seconded by... can Councillor Davis? Yes. Yes, Councillor Davis wishes to second. No debate? I'll take that then. All those...
No, I will look, I wish to say just two things. And the first is, I note the seriousness of this. I don't wish to dwell on it. I think The circumstances are such that there is public embarrassment for Councillor Kouros, and she will have to endure that. However, I do want to note, and it is, I think, an important thing to note, that this serious breach underscores the appropriateness of the rule that was adopted by this council that prohibits the use of mobile phones during the course of meetings. If you read the Ombudsman's report, you can see clearly that the cause of this finding was undoubtedly a text. Councillor Davis, who took a costly legal action, he lost, against an investigation.
I don't think that's relevant.
No, I'm
at
not
the
touching.
moment.
I'm not touching at all on Councillor Davis or his the references to him within the report, Lord Mayor. I'm simply saying that Councillor Davis disputed that regulation. In fact, wouldn't vote for it, and subsequently described it as...
I don't think we're discussing Councillor Davis.
No, I'm not talking about Councillor Davis. I'm talking about the argument that there is somehow intrinsically unfairness in the use of mobile phones during the course of meetings. And clearly that is not the case. This matter, more than any other, demonstrates that it is vital that mobile phones are not used by members to exchange text or alternatively to receive phone calls. If that is to occur, then it's important that people leave the chamber and do whatever they want, but not in this chamber. And Lord Mayor, I would suggest that those rules need to be strengthened further to ensure the integrity of the chamber.
Thank you for that. Do we wish to debate this any further?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know that we can...
I would note that Councillor Martin uses his phone in a committee meeting. Remember, your alarm went off and you used your phone. Lord Mayor, you also use your phone.
I don't think that we're discussing that, Councillor.
Every single councillor here uses their phone every single meeting, and I've got a long list, and if you'd like me to provide it, I've been keeping notes. I know when you've used your phone and when you haven't. Actually, Councillor Noon doesn't, but she's one of the few.
No, Councillor.
I know, you're probably the only one who doesn't,
to be honest,
and Councillor Siebentreut.
Thank you.
But the rest of you are all texting away furiously.
Councillor, you will desist. We will stick to the issues. We will put it to the vote unless you have a contrary view on an amendment. Councillor, Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you. I just rise briefly to echo the words of Councillor Martin around, honestly, the sorrow of the situation that we found ourselves in. However, I do thank Councillor Kouros for her apology, and do note, as it says in the report, there will be training provided, so hopefully we won't be in this situation again.
So thank you, Councillor. All those in favour as printed? All those against, that's carried. Thank you, members. Can we call back to Councillor? We have no motions.
Lord Mayor, I have to take my leave. I have another appointment I need to go to this afternoon.
What's going on?
So we have no motions on notice, no motions without notice. Oh, Councillor Martin, you have a motion?
Yes, Lord Mayor, I've sent it to the administration, and I'm disappointed that Councillor Davis is leaving because it's a matter of some concern to him. If the administration could print it.
Lord Mayor, I'm just wondering, do I have a conflict here? Because I'm very mindful.
I
don't know what...
think you have a conflict. This is not relating to you, Councillor. I think this is relating to a message that Councillor Davis... So, is that seconded? Can I just check that it's... So there are obligations as a public officer defined by legislation. if they... I think that the Ombudsman could take a complaint. They don't have to investigate it.
Well, Lord Mayor, Councillor Couros is asserting this is dumb. I take exception to that and I ask her to retract that.
Assertion.
I don't feel very comfortable, Lord Mayor. I don't know where this is going. He's saying that integrity and requested administration to cooperate fully with the subsequent investigation. Is he talking about adding it to the investigation that's already been done by the Ombudsman?
No, this has nothing to do with Councillor Couros, Lord Mayor. I give you and her that assurance.
I think there's an inference that there is some integrity issue has been raised by Councillor Davis, and that being the case, there are mechanisms by which complaints can be made to another body, but it doesn't involve you, Councillor, I think.
Nothing to do with Councillor Couros specifically. It is more broadly addressing.
Can we just seek advice, CEO? We have made complaints to... doesn't mention the Ombudsman, does it?
Through the presiding member, I note the distribution of an email from Councillor Davis regarding a proposed draft motion on notice. That was an email to engage in a conversation with council members. That motion has not been formally lodged for consideration at the council meeting on the 11th of November. The email included a not insignificant preamble and an 8-point motion which basically asks the council to note certain things. Baldly, the motion is valid. It articulates political views, but there's nothing in it that could be referred to an integrity agency such as the Ombudsman. I've taken independent advice around that.
Through you, Lord Mayor, I'm not suggesting a matter is specifically for the attention of the Ombudsman. I've referred to an integrity agency. That includes some 4 or 5 separate integrity agencies. And if somebody is prepared to second it, I'm happy to articulate it. If at the end of that it is the view of you as the presiding member that what I'm proposing is inappropriate, I'll withdraw it.
So I think the only thing that we may not be able to get in reflection, we may not be able to ask the administration to assist the councillor, but we could make sure that obligations were understood by the councillor. Is that a more...
well, it is, but additionally, Lord Mayor, various acts require the administration to assist individuals who wish to make complaints to certain integrity agencies, and I'm just proposing that in the event that it may be required. But the more important part of it is that I'm asking the administration to cooperate fully with anything that follows.
I think they would always do that. They have an obligation to cooperate.
Well, in that case, that's great.
So is that sufficient, that it's an undertaking that... Is that the way we're moving?
Well, I think it's been seconded, so would you like me to articulate it and then I'm happy to...
I'm just asking the CEO if he can change the wording to become more comfortable with it.
Through the presiding member, my challenge is this is not a matter I've had the opportunity to review with any degree of consideration. The obligations of Councillor Davis as a public officer sit with him, not the administration. They're a matter of legislative obligation. So I'm a bit challenged by the...
Well, Lord Mayor, through you, I'm not suggesting that there's any obligation on the part of the administration, and I'll provide whatever amendments give comfort to the administration. The essential point is the first point, and the second one, which I'm told is a given, second essential one, is that the administration will assist. And I'm happy to articulate it.
I think it's pretty vague, actually. It's not very specific. And we do know that every member of council has obligations under various acts, whether it's, I've dealt with child protection and those of a director. So I think
Lord Mayor, what I'm attempting to articulate is that the members of the council have all received a series of allegations in an email. That email has found its way into the broader community. I don't know how, but it has found its way there, and it does need to be addressed. This is not a matter that can be held over for 2 weeks.
Well, the council administration cannot force Councillor Davis to do anything. We know that they have no power, but they could reiterate obligations as a public officer. I think that's as far as we could go.
If I can attempt to provide some clarifying wording.
Please do.
Yes, please do.
Noting the allegations made by Councillor Davis by email on 23 October, titled Draft Motion on Notice. Requests the administration provide clear advice to Councillor Davis. Delete to comply. Delete with. Regarding his obligations as a public officer. To lodge any formal complaint, any rather than a.
So would we have a full stop after agency and just delete the rest?
Yes.
Lord Mayor, I'm happy with that if my seconder is. Yes, look, Lord Mayor, I know this is unusual, but the allegations are many, and the central argument detailed in an email to all elected members, and which somehow has found its way into the community, is that somehow council has failed to represent its community. Whether that has been by accident or deliberately, I don't know. But the allegation is that we have failed somehow to represent our community. And it's alleged that we're also allowing transient residents, including international students, who've resided here for 1 month, the right to vote, which I understood was at variance with state legislation. I understood that was no longer the case. But the allegation is that we are doing that. And that councillors have established a system of committees to benefit themselves to the tune of $115,000 rather than the community they serve. And as a consequence of these serious breaches, it is proposed in the email that everyone's seen that council is dissolved and the city is handed to the state government, with businesses presumably paying a new tax to state government in addition to or separately to rates, I don't know, maybe replacing rates. And residential areas, including the South Ward, which Councillor Davis and others represent, including Councillor Siebentrit and Councillor Snape, that is somehow hived off to Unley, and North Adelaide is delivered to the city of Prospect. Now, presumably, Councillor Davis would be out of council, although possibly in state parliament. I suggest, Lord Mayor, that in an email that I know that you circulated to others, that I suggest that there's some truth to the argument that there's more noise than substance to these allegations. But I am disturbed. I am disturbed by this kind of communication, and ratepayers have a right to be disturbed too. These are constant allegations of failure by an elected body, which has created, according to the email, not much more than an opportunity to grab more money. I mean, it is something that is said without a shred of evidence. They're bloated assertions. There's no substance that I can see. And I think, and I'm proposing, that if there is something so seriously wrong, it needs to be reported to an integrity agency. Now, the law is quite clear about this. Each and every act concerning an integrity agency, as I understand it, suggests that anyone, just a moment longer, Lord Mayor, please. Anyone who has even a suspicion of something untoward occurring has an obligation to report that. Whether that's to the Office of Public Integrity, to the Ombudsman, to ICAC, whoever, you've got to report it. And in here, as I read the email, all that's suggested is that the Premier gets a letter. Now, Lord Mayor, I can just see the Premier's office receiving a letter from Councillor Davis saying, here's a letter from Henry Davis. There would be no race to open the envelope. And yet these allegations are just floating around. Now, it is time that they were placed before an integrity agency so that there can be some investigation. And the only person who can do that in these circumstances is the person who has the knowledge of those things that are alleged to be occurring. And I have proposed this motion simply to propel this matter to what I think should be an appropriate conclusion.
Deputy Lord Mayor.
I'll be very, very brief, Lord Mayor, and just to say that as a representative of South Ward, I think constituents deserve better than these fanciful ideas of carving off their community, splitting their community and packing us off over to a different council area. That's not what the representative of the community of South Ward expect, and I reject any such proposal by Councillor Davis, and I was both bemused but also...
They have to second a motion if they don't support it. Councillor Kouros.
I need to say, Lord Mayor, that I won't be supporting this. There are processes already involved. I don't want to get in between the politicking between two councillors. If councillors are not happy with certain allegations, there are processes already involved. We already know the Ombudsman does extensive investigations. It's very clear how those investigations are done. We've got the report. I think that we just stick to the system and not get administration involved in something that would, in my view, politics. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Siebenfrit, then we'll put it to the vote because we're going to go Councillor Abraham today. And then we'll put it to the vote.
Very briefly, Lord Mayor, I think this is a reminder to all of us that as elected members, we have the responsibility to be able to vote with the full facts in front of us. The full facts in front of us, that's a reasonable request. And in doing that, we need to be able to separate fact from fiction. Now, I recall it wasn't that long ago that we saw information being shared around the financial performance of council, and we sought some independent advice on that. We were able to separate fact from fiction. And we're then able to move forward dealing with the facts as it relates to financial management of the organisation. I see this being no different. This is an opportunity to clarify the facts from the fiction so we can all move forward and vote with the facts in front of us, and for that reason I'll be supporting it.
Councillor Abraham today.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. There was some discussion about our obligations as councillors and public officers, and it was only the past few weeks where we saw 4 new Central Ward councillors come into this chamber and take the oath can't remember the exact words, but you're essentially fulfilling your duties to, to be honest, to the best of your abilities, etc., etc. So that, to me, automatically says that each and every one of us here has an obligation under local government legislation. I don't think we need a motion like this to force someone to remind them of their obligations. What Councillor Martin mentioned earlier in his speech about the 4 weeks of residing here in Adelaide as an international student, I don't believe that law has changed, so that's actually incorrect. I do believe that state government has flagged that they are keen to change it, but I don't think the change has quite kicked in yet. And Lord Mayor, personally, I think the motion before us is as troubling as the email that was circulated by Councillor Davis. I'm happy to put that on the public record. Here we have something that doesn't add fuel to the fire, but in my perspective is essentially starting a fire. Now, what Councillor Davis did was not right. It wasn't appropriate, and I'm actually glad it didn't make it to the floor of the chamber. But what I can say, and again, Councillor Martin talked about the evidence and how if councillors do have any issues or concerns, that they can go to state government or they can go to an integrity agency. One of the things that actually reminded me of Councillor Martin was that back in 2022, I was presiding over a council meeting where Councillor Martin himself actually got up and, through me as a presiding member, asked whether if state government were looking at stepping in and resolving the council. So Councillor Davis did exactly what Councillor Martin did back in 2022, and here we are hearing about how that was not a right thing to do. But again, I don't think that was the right thing. I don't think what Councillor Davis was Councillor Davis has done is the right thing, and I don't think this motion is going about it the right way either.
Thank you.
Just very briefly, I appreciate Councillor Abrahimzadeh's equitable response. I don't recall the circumstance, but I don't discount it. But nevertheless, Lord Mayor, the important thing is that this matter is dealt with. And may I just say, as a point of clarification, my understanding was that the legislation had been approved. If that's not the case, then I withdraw that.
I think it's been announced but not enacted,
I understood it had
Parliament.
been enacted, and therefore I apologise to the Chamber if I've misled it in any way.
So we'll take that as summing up. So we'll move the motion on the screen. All those in favour? Those against? Is there a division? Oh, yes, please. Thank you. I thought you called it. Sorry.
Members' division has been called in relation to Councillor Martin's motion without notice. Please stand in favour of the motion to your name has been called. Councillor Martin, Deputy Lord Mayor, Councillor Freeman, Councillor Marr, Councillor Siebentritt and Councillor Noon. Thank you.
We've got questions on notice, which are on the table. Questions without notice. Councillor Marr.
Yes, Lord Mayor.
Marr, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Just a quick question relating to the previous motion. Can that advice, when it is provided, be also provided to the other councillors as an undertaking?
I need help with that question. I didn't quite catch it.
The previous motion was to provide advice support to Councillor Davis. Can that initial response to Councillor Davis also be provided to
This is
members?
a learning opportunity for all of us to understand our
as an undertaking to the CEO.
Is that, I think, what we're asking.
Through the presiding member, is it the communication with Councillor Davis that you wish to be shared, or the advice?
The advice.
Happy to share the advice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Point of order, Lord Mayor. Would that require the motion to be amended? Because it wasn't a direction, and that would require another debate whether that should be shared or not.
as part of our training packages, we do have to understand our obligations
But
as
that's
a director.
personal between the councillor and the advice that he receives from administration. To share that advice, that should have been in the motion and that should have been available to be debated.
Councillor, I think we have several new councillors. They're just coming to grips with the governance issues, and it's not unreasonable to have them, as part of their training, be told.
As long as the advice is about the procedures and structures, not about the conversation and the responses, then that's fine.
As long as it relates to
I think it's not confidential. We would not be giving confidential or personal information, but we have an obligation at a training program, and this is clearly one part of the training program. So I think we should take that up. Councillor Noon.
I actually have a question without notice, but it's actually confidential. So is there an opportunity? What happens in that situation?
We will be going into confidence shortly, and I will take a question in confidence.
Thank you.
Yes, Lord Mayor. Two questions. The first is, what action or assistance has the council rendered to the Metropolitan Hotel to deal with the infestation of rodents that has been so well publicised?
I think there's been a response on the public record about their...
Through the presiding member, we'd need to take that on notice. Happy to provide that information via e-news.
Yep, happy to do that. And finally, in relation to the commentary about the opening of 88 O'Connell, could the administration remind me whether Commercial and General has remitted the balance of the amount owing
I think
on
that
88
financial
O'Connell?
information will be distributed shortly.
Through the presiding member, my advice to the chamber is that the financial obligations of C&G and Council have been fulfilled.
Sorry, I missed that last word.
Fulfilled.
Fulfilled. Thank you.
In that case, we'll move on. So we now have a quite complicated series of confidential items. We'll move on to exclusion of public item 21. I'm going to have to take each motion separately because there are 6. So of the public, I would like we'll have to have a separate exclusion clause for the question and get the bare bones of it without the specifics. So can we just go through the list? So could someone move item 22, which is the infrastructure and public works, moved by Councillor Siebentritt, seconded by Councillor Marr. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Could someone move 23, which is City Finance and Governance, moved by Councillor Marr, seconded by Councillor Martin? All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. 24.1, which is the first complaint, moved by Councillor Marr, seconded by Councillor Siebentritt. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. 24.2, which is the second complaint, moved by Councillor Marr, seconded by Councillor Kamada. 24.3, all those in favour? Sorry. All those against? That's carried. 24.3, the fourth complaint, moved Councillor Marr, seconded by Councillor Siebentritt. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. The establishment of a conduct committee, moved by Councillor Marr, seconded by Councillor Kabada. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. So,
through the presiding member, perhaps a 4.5 confidential question on notice.
24.5 is a confidential question on notice. Can you give us the bare bones, Councillor Noon?
Just the title.
Just the title.
Oh, okay. Luxury brands.
Moved by Councillor Noon, seconded by Councillor Marr. All those in favour? All those against? Thank you. So now doing.